Well, John, it's a pleasure to speak to you, even though you're in California and I'm the other side of the Atlantic. How are you?
Very good. We're on the same world.
Yeah, exactly. If I could begin, I guess, by talking about OLIAS of SUNHILLOW. I mean, this is a very special album in your career as a musician and an artist. The concept of OLIAS, am I right in thinking that the album actually, I know you recorded it in 75, 76, but did the actual concept of the idea start a long time before that, before you recorded it?
Yeah, probably when we had the Fragile album. And I always remember Roger Dean's Beautiful World, and there was a ship flying around and stuff, and on the back cover, I think. But I just love the idea of a world that is very, very different than the world we know. And so I started sketching out an idea that the music came from another planetary system, which I call the Pleiades, and to get the music to the planet Earth to start off an energy of see, musical is a vibrational thing on every level. You know, birds are singing along, so there's music everywhere. And I just realized that the music had to come from somewhere to implant itself into the earth for us in later, a million years later, to discover that music is a very social thing worldwide. It's not limited to one island, it's a social thing.
And
I could go on and on.
Yeah. So how did you eventually come to record the album? What led up to you actually being able to make the album?
Actually, it happened when an old friend of mine who actually produced the second album, Time and a Word, Yes, the Word, a guy called, I forgot his name now, but it'll come to me, Colton.
Tony Colton?
Tony Colton, of course. So he came by the house. I'd started to live in London again, and he came by the house, and I said, "Where have you been for the last 3 months or so?" He said, "Oh, I've been to school. I went to music school." And I went, "Oh my God, I would love to do that." And so I just thought, I never liked school that much. I liked going playing football and maths and painting, and that was it. Everything else was a sort of blur. So I was never going to go to music school. So over the years, touring with Yes, and I collected lots of instruments like the harp and the koto here, and you know, percussion from Indonesia and things like that. And I had a garage full of instruments, and I thought, well, why don't I just lock myself away and learn all these instruments? And it sounds good in a sentence, but I was lucky to get Mick the engineer guy. I mix him up with another guy called Mike Dunn. He came to sort of live with me in the garage for like 3 months. And there was just the two of us, and I was there plonking away on, you know, ukulele or different kinds of Turkish instruments and things like that for hours and hours until I understood what I was going to play. Then we record it and so on. This happened every day for nearly 3 months. And slowly but surely, the story unfolded, and slowly but surely, I was able to play all the instruments. And I just listened to it a couple of weeks ago, and it sort of, it was mesmerizing to me how I did it, but it was like going to school, like going to music school.
Because you taught yourself basically to play keyboards on the album, and considering how keyboards kind of dominate the record quite considerably, it's quite an amazing feat to think that you weren't actually a keyboard player before you made the album.
Right. Well, I just play white notes. That's all there is to it. I never cross over to black notes, just white notes, and I get along with it, you know. And I'd stay at home at times and just play things and record things. And then going into the garage, I had about 4 keyboards, different sounds and everything, and you start blending them together. And it was it was a wonderful experience for the first couple of months, and then it became like total mind expanding, will I ever get this finished feeling? And it was a very difficult last month, to be honest. I really went through hell to get it finished because I just had this vision. And by the time that came about, I was using about 120 tracks, mixing so many tracks at the same time. And in those days, we didn't have click track to keep them all together. So you had to finally try them out and work. And the blending of the music and the percussion especially, again, it was like going to school, and I loved it.
I mean, it's such an incredibly complex album. To consider that you played every instrument yourself is quite incredible. And I mean, did you make a conscious decision that it would just be you playing all the instruments from the start of the recording? You never considered using anyone else?
No, you know, I work with some great musicians in Yes, and recorded some things with other musicians and things. But I just said a solo album should be by yourself, solo. And I just stuck to my guns mentally, and then just learning to play and play flutes and woodwind and things. And it just took over my life for 3 months.
When the album was finished, it was quite it was further on from anything you'd done with Yes. What was the reaction of the record company to what you'd delivered to?
I only remember the head of the record company saying, "I can't read the front cover. What does it say?" And I say, "OLIAS of SUNHILLOw." He said, "Can you not change it, you know, and do it in print?" I said, "No, it's a piece of art," because I'd found this wonderful artist to do the artwork, because Roger Dean was very busy doing a lot of different things, so he was never really, shall we say, interested. But it was that moment in time that I found this guy, and you probably remember his name, and I don't. But
I can't remember his name either at the moment. I
can Google it. Yes. I could Google it. He's a really guy and a remarkable artist. So by the time I finished, I had a book and everything, like a double album book and everything. And I just felt very comfortable that I created something unique anyway. If people liked it, I'd be more than happy. So I think within 3 months, it did very well. It got into the top 20 as an album, I believe. And it's been a constant vogue in my life that fans will come up and mention it again. You know, are you going to do chapter 2? And I said, I don't think so. I don't think I want to go through that stuff again. And here I am going through that stuff again with the Son of Elias. I'm actually creating that. And I've found the pathway now. It took me 4 or 5 years to discover the path. And by listening to Elias, I realized all I've got to do, not all I've got to do, but what I've got to do is not lose that sense of that album, sound-wise and tonal-wise and everything. Just take it into the next step, and it'll be a 4-part project, probably lasting 4 hours, 5 hours, something like that, over a period of a couple of years. So I've now found the path to Zamran. I'm going to call it the path to Zamran.
Fantastic. No, it was that. If ever an album needed a successor, then Elias does need a successor, I think.
Yeah, it'll be beautiful. And there are a lot of fans of it, so I'm more excited now to get it. I'm jumping right into it at this moment. And I reckon by next summer, I'll have everything ready for the chapter 1 coming out sometime. I'm not going to say when, but I think I know what the first part of it is. And it's very interesting.
We'll look forward to that. You mentioned the sonic feel of Elias. Now, I've read somewhere, I don't know how accurate this is, that but it's attributed that Vangelis's record company thought he had appeared on the album because of the sound. Is that true?
No. I was with Vangelis then all the time, and we were very close. Like he was my mentor, and I go in there just to watch him work in his studio. Unbelievable to watch this one guy create such enormous amounts of music in a single afternoon. And I just wanted to be like Vangelis, of course. So he was a great teacher, and he was the first person I played the album to. And I remember his smile at the end of it. He listened all the way through without looking at it and thinking about it. He was just sitting in this chair, which was a chair full of speakers. And he just sat there quietly. And at the end, he had this beautiful smile of, well done, John.
Fantastic. How did you meet Vangelis, out of interest? How did your paths cross? Because you were obviously involved with the Heaven and Hell album just prior to Elias coming out. How did you meet Vangelis?
Yeah. Well, Yes was going through yet another turbulent moment in its in the 70s when we took Graphic Oceans, and Rick really didn't get into the whole album at all and didn't like the idea of it, but carried on touring. But then at the end of the tour, he said, I've had enough. So soon as he left, a friend of mine gave me an album called Creation du Monde by Vangelis, and Vangelis was living in Paris. And I got his phone number, called him up, and went to Paris to meet him. And I wanted him to join Yes, but Vangelis is such a one-man operation. He couldn't really judge what it was like to work with Chris and Bill Allen at that time, and Steve. He just couldn't judge it musically, and it never really gelled. We tried for a couple of weeks. So then Vangelis, as it would be, he got a studio near Hyde Park and settled in to start composing. And then, because we'd been friends, I'd pop in and see what he's doing. And he was working on this Heaven and Hell album. And I walked in and he was playing this beautiful music, and I started singing. And within an hour, we recorded the song, So Long Ago, So Clear. And I knew then there's something about working with a free-form musician, like you call it jazz or chance music. There's something different, the opposite to Yes, which is very structured, and something that I loved very much, because it was part of what I was doing with everybody. And but working with Vangelis was the opposite end of the scale, so it was magic, real magic.